Hello, I'm Bak Seon, who is the member of 265 Youth Cultural Corps. Today we would like to learn about Anjungun, a young man who dreamed of peace in the East along with the independence of Korea, and think about how we can apply it to our current situation. Let's find out what happened in 1909. On the morning of October 26, 1909, An was drinking tea at the tea house inside the Harbin station. He was waiting for a special train carrying Ito to arrive. When the train arrived and escorted by Russian soldiers, Ito waved and got off the train. Ito died with 3 shots. Ito, the Japanese leader who was about to swallow the Korean Empire, was killed by Anjungun. Looking at Ito falling down, An took the taegukgi out of his arms and shouted loudly in Russian, "Korea fear!" Immediately after the event, Anjungun was arrested on the spot and imprisoned in Russian prison on November 3, 1909. When the inspector asked me what the motive was, I said that I had no reason to stand trial for killing the Japanese who invaded the Korean Empire. Also, when asked if the integrator attempted suicide after the crime, he said that his purpose was peace in the East, so he killed Ito Hirobumi, but he hasn't thought of committing suicide because his purpose hasn't been fully achieved yet. When the spectator said that Japan was trying to protect the Korean Empire, which has no power against the Qing dynasty of Russia, he angrily said that the massacre and operation committed on Korean people were invasion and colonization. Harbin Station was under Russian jurisdiction, but the trio consisted of only Japanese. In the course of forming questioning, after a week of trial, Anjungun was sentenced to death. His mother, Mrs. Jumoria, sent a letter to her condemned son with shroud. A mother who told her son that his death would be not in vain, saying it replaces the anger of all Koreans. Mother who told the Japanese not to beg for their lives, but to die proudly. Anjungun was executed on March 26, 1910, without appealing to the Japanese as his mother said.
During the trial, An explained why he killed Ito Hirobumi and mentioned 15 crimes committed by Ito. His letter did not only the Queen of the Korean Empire, but also innocent Koreans trying to control and rule the Korean Empire. He rationalized the invasion of Korea by lying all over the world. Above all, the most notable item is the crime of breaking Asia peace with the invasion of the 14th continent. This shows An's basic sense of East Asia peace, which follows the theory of the peace in the East that he did not complete when he was in Russian prison. The story of the original peace was written only in part. This was because Japan had broken its promise to delay execution until the theory of peace in the East is completed instead of An's appeal. The preface, which covers 7 to 8 pages of A4, strongly criticizes Japan's policy of aggression to dominate the hegemony through violence between races, such as the situation in which Western powers sacrifice weak countries in the strong sense of weakness and the logic of survival of the fittest. It is very difficult to understand the entire contents of the theory of peace in the East, only with the preamble written. However, there are some records of on February 17, 1910, meeting with the head of the High Court, Hirashi of the Guangdong provincial government about the East peace theory that An wanted to write. To sum it up, Anjungun wanted to establish a Korea-China-Japan alliance to prevent conflicts, unify courtesy, and establish a peace army to maintain the independence of the three countries, while at the same time learning the languages of each country to strengthen the alliance.
Here we need to also talk about the Far East peace theory in order to counter Western imperialism in the three countries, Korea, China, and Japan, should unite as one to build the greater East Asia. But Hirobumi Ito's logic is a theory to justify invading Korea and China, which rationalized the dominance of the strong and the hegemony of the empire. While An's logic is completely different in its intentions because it recognizes each country's sovereignty and means peace in a state where the strong and the weak coexist in a moral state. What Anjungun suggested in the theory of Oriental peace is coincidentally similar to the composition of the European Union. The commonality of the purpose that we intend to pursue first can be summed up in both systems as peace without war and common prosperity. And the theory of peace in the East and the European Union are quite similar in the overall system, especially in central banks and common currency and the use of official language. The European Economic Community (EEC), which was created by the Treaty of Rome signed on March 25, 1957, was the beginning of the European Union. The European Economic Community was an economic unity in the form of a customs union in July 1967. It absorbed the European Coal and Steel Community and the European Atomic Energy Community, and expanded to the European Community and further developed it until in today's European Union system in November 1993 and in 1999. The euro was applied as an integrated currency. As of 2020, the EU has 27 members. The European Union accounts for 1/5 of the world's GDP, while the EU's 1% GDP is lower than that of the United States, but higher than China. How are we now? How long will we live in this situation by distrusting and blaming each other? Dangerous articles with China, Japan, North Korea have been pouring in day after day. Now we must have concrete action strategies to make peace on the Korean peninsula on our own. Surrounding countries are not something we can choose from. Like it or not, Korea should prepare for a new era through close cooperation with neighboring countries. This may be why the theory of peace in the East is drawing attention again today.
Although An's remains were not excavated after he was executed in Linsen prison, there is a special place to meet Anjungun in Seoul. On October 26, 1970, the Anjungun Memorial Hall was built and opened at the site of Namsan Prefecture, where the Joseon Shrine was located to suppress the national flag of Japan during the Japanese colonial period. As the Memorial Hall grew old and narrow over the years, the new Memorial Hall was opened in October 26, 2010. This place where Anjungun Memorial Hall was built was where the Joseon Shrine was located during the Japanese colonial era. At that time, Japan built more than 1,000 shrines across the country to strengthen Joseon's rule, forcing Koreans to visit the shrine. As the shrine was a temple for Shintoism, a folk religion of Japan, it also deified the emperor around the shrine and used it to control the spirit of the Japanese people, as well as to promote militaristic invasion and colonialism. The Joseon Shrine is the highest class temple among the shrines and was built in Namsan Mountain so that it can be seen well in central Seoul, putting psychological pressure on Koreans. Now, the place is guarded by the spirit of Anjungun. His concerns of 100 years ago for a true peace still remain unresolved on the Korean peninsula. Even now, we should consider taking a step forward and take action for true peace in Northeast Asia, following his spirit.